Shades, welcome to my channel. If it's the first time you're passing through, um, this is called the Dark Shades Counselling channel, but it's not necessarily counselling, it's just giving you information and my take on certain questions I'm asked. Now, I wanted to talk about, are we too quick to end relationships and end people? Don't forget you can subscribe, like, share. And oh, incidentally, my daughter bought me this hair. So what do you think of it? Do you think it makes me look old? Do you think it makes me look young? Or do you think it makes me look just right? Anyway, not that I'm seeking approval, just opinions. So, are we too quick to end relationships and reject people? Fear usually causes us to sabotage relationships, and we're always so quick to end relationships, especially now when we live in a disposable society. But should we end relationships? Is it because of how we've been trained? Are our expectations too high? Are we watching too much TV and too much films that show how relationships should be, which are too idealistic? And so at the first opportunity, we're ready to throw out the relationship with the bathwater, or throw out the baby with the bathwater. Anyway, fear causes us to reject people before they reject us. Fear causes us to sabotage relationships. Fear causes us to stay in unhealthy relationships. Relationships can be painful and difficult, but does that mean you have to end them? That is the question. What are the ingredients in your relationship? Is it control, selfishness, manipulation, or possessiveness? Or is it love, compassion, acceptance, consideration, and forgiveness? So you have to ask yourself, what are the ingredients in your relationship? Not all the time, but the majority of the time. So getting into a relationship, please read the small print. Just thought I'd stick that in there. You don't only have two options when you're experiencing problems in your relationship. It's not just about whether or not you stay or whether or not you leave. There are other options. You can have relationship counselling. You can decide to have space to reflect. You can try to gain another perspective to see whether or not it's really what is the right thing to do. It's never good to break up or stay when you're angry, when you're fearful, when you're frustrated, or when you're feeling stupid, when you're feeling vulnerable. These aren't the best times to make a decision about whether your relationship should last or whether it should end. So you have to wait until you're in a rational state of mind and you're calm. So, but whatever it is, whether you don't only have two options, whether it's to stay or leave, endure or break up, but whichever choice you have, don't be afraid of making that choice. Okay, so what are the other options? I've just said to you, they're relationship counselling, reflection, and perspective. Perspective. According to Van Ajaan Brahm, he suggests that you think of a relationship like your hand. Now, if you put your hand over your face, what can I see? I can't really see anything. I might be able to see through my little fingers a little bit of myself, but I can't really see anything. I've blocked everything out. And that's what he says relationships are like. We're focusing on the one aspect. I'm focusing on the palm of my hand. I can't see anything beyond that. Now, if I put my hand out and I look at my hand from that perspective, I can not only see my hand, but I can see everything else in the room. And so when you're thinking about relationships, that's how you look at it. You think not only about the one thing that they've done wrong, but you look at that person as a whole in an holistic way. So everything around you has changed and your vision has been expanded. And that is what you call perspective, looking at things differently. Now, what are the good things your partner has done? I might sound as though I'm being quick because I am. I've got an appointment in 20 minutes. Now, what are the good things your partner has done throughout the relationship? What do you respect about your partner? Can you see the good in him or her? That is important. You have to be able to see some good qualities in the individual you are spending your time with or your life. If he's told you a lie, or if she's told you a lie, how many times have they spoken the truth? How many times do you know that they've made believable statements? If he hasn't taken out the bins, for example, how many times has he made you a cup of tea? How many times has he cooked dinner for you or bought a bottle of wine? If he takes you for granted, how many times has he paid the bills, given you a lift, met you at the station? Put things into perspective. Look at the things, not only the things that they don't do, but look at the things that they do do. Ask yourself, is he or she taking me for granted because I have been proactive in doing things? I have done too much. I have been overdoing. Some people, they care more about others than they do themselves. They tend to overdo it. You know, they're overcompensating for whatever reason. Could be insecurity, it could be vulnerability, it could be low self-esteem, but they overdo it. They overbuy, they overcook, they overcare. You know, you're always the one making the effort. You're always the one remembering birthdays. You're always the one making calls. You're always the one initiating messages. You're always the one making plans. You're always the one buying gifts. You're always the one cooking. You're always the one serving. But that's not their fault. If you've set a standard of the way you are acting and the way you are behaving, don't expect them to take it on when you stop. It doesn't work like that. They've fallen in love with you, or they like you because of the person you are, or the person they thought you are. So if you're the person that makes the effort all the time, then that's what they fell in love with. No point after a while saying, oh, I'm the only one making the effort. I'm not going to make the effort anymore. I'm going to stop doing this. I'm going to stop doing that. And then you're going to expect them to pick up the baton. It doesn't work that way. They're not going to pick up the baton because what you're telling them is that isn't who you were. You're not being authentic. You've decided to change the game halfway through. And now you start feeling resentful because you're doing everything. That's not their fault. It's not their fault that you feel as though they're taking you for granted. You need to gain perspective and ask yourself, how have you contributed to the way that they are behaving? So and then all of a sudden you stop, and then you start feeling sorry for yourself because they are not picking up the baton. They are not making an effort. And then you start saying, oh, I don't care. They don't like me, blah, blah, blah. It doesn't work like that. If you start as you mean to go on. You can't start making an effort and midway decide, oh, I don't want to make an effort anymore, because you lose out. So in other words, if it's gone too far in this relationship, yes, you might want to stop. You might feel taken for granted, but then make sure in your next relationship, you don't go overboard. You don't do too much. You make sure how you are is who you are, and you can keep it up until eternity because that is who you are. You're not trying to make an impression, in other words. A lot of people, they're trying to make an impression, they overdo things, and then they can't keep it up, and then they look like a fraud. Okay, so your over-serving will cause resentment because when you stop doing it, because you realize you're doing everything, you expect them to pick up where you left off. That's what I've said. And you'll translate that as if they don't care. You'll start blaming him or her for taking you for granted when you set the standard. I've said all of that. When you change your behavior because you feel hard done by, you're the one that looks unreliable, inconsistent. You're the one who's changed, not them. So start as you mean to go on. Don't try to impress. Said all of that. When you gain perspective, you could see things differently. So once you take responsibility for your role in what's happening or your role in how you feel, then things will be different. The relationship can be saved, and you don't have to say, oh, I've got to end it. All you've got to do is talk to each other and say, look, I was doing this, and, I feel this, and whatever it is, talk it through. Okay. You cannot control what happens to you, but you can control how it happens and how you react to it. Advance on the path of gaining knowledge and understanding to attain peace through mediation. So what I'm saying there is that, get counselling. There's nothing wrong with relationship counselling or speaking to somebody who you respect and who you think will give you good advice about your relationship. Still thinking about breaking up? Ask yourself why. Ask yourself why not. Is your decision wise? Is it fair? Are you in a rational state of mind when you're making the decision? Don't make a decision to stay or break up because you fear losing the other person, or you fear being on your own, through negative thinking. anger over what they've done, frustration over what they haven't done, guilt over what you've done to them. Don't break up or make a decision about breaking up on those grounds. Eliminate the fear of making the decision. Forgive yourself and forgive the other person. Find a trait worthy of respect. What characteristic in them is worth saving? What makes him or her worthy of recommitting to them? The only time we want to leave a relationship is because we see nothing worth saving, preserving, respecting, or building on. That is deep. I mean, if that is the premise upon which you are breaking up with someone, people shouldn't really break up. There has to be something in that person worth saving, worth preserving, worth respecting, and worth building on. Because what you're saying when you end a relationship is that none of those components exist. And if they don't exist, then, well, there's no point at all in staying in that relationship. Okay, but before you end a relationship, ask yourself, if is the above true? Like I said, do you see nothing in that person or nothing in the relationship worth saving? Do you see nothing in the relationship worth preserving? Do you see nothing in that person worth respecting? Do you see nothing worth building on? Are there no redeeming qualities at all? If so, your spark cannot be lit. What frame of mind are you in when you're ending the relationship or thinking about ending it? So when I'm talking about saving, preserving, respecting and building, what frame of mind are you in? Because if you're in anger or frustrated frame of mind, you're not going to be able to see the forest for the trees. And like I said, you're going to be like that. You're not going to be able to see anything. So make sure that when you are making that decision, you're in a fair, rational frame of mind and you're thinking in a wise way. Okay, like I said, when you're angry, you won't see things clearly. If there's desire, if it's just about sex and lust, that's no reason to stay in a relationship. Ill will, revenge, that's no reason to stay or leave a relationship. It's more likely to be leave if you're feeling revengeful. Stupidity, never make decisions while you're drunk or drugged, of course. Fear, never make a decision to leave or stay out of intimidation or fear of being alone. And also not while you're angry because you're hurt, betrayed or disappointed. These components should never be the reason to continue a relationship or end it. When a relationship ends, don't blame anyone. All relationships, they can't stay together. At some point they have to end, whether it's through death, whether it's loss in another way, whether it's through abandonment, whatever reason. Karma, everything has a season, a reason or a lifetime. So never blame the individual. Just say it's just meant to be. Nothing lasts. We're all here temporarily. This is a transitional life. Some relationship lasts, some don't. It's nobody's fault. Two people have different perspectives, different experiences, needs, expectations. That doesn't justify revenge or anger when traits clash. Both people need to want to make it work. Both people need to have compassion, kindness, and a sense of fairness. If a relationship breaks down due to irreconcilable differences, it doesn't have to change who you are or lessen your value. Be grateful for the times you had together. Relationships are like a show. You miss the show, you turn up late, you arrive on time, but you leave at the intermission, or you arrive on time and you stay until the end. Don't let anyone steal your joy, control your emotions or the way that you feel. Are you throwing away your happiness by your reactions? I do hope not. And I do hope that this somewhat hurried video will help preserve relationships, especially at a time where we're feeling oversensitive, vulnerable, and prone to bouts of depression and insecurities. And that's all for now. Bye-bye.